Hello everyone, Daniel Yuck here. Thank you all for tuning in today. I appreciate you. Today we're going to be diving into episode 9 of our follow along series here. Now within this follow along series, I kind of wanted to start off with basic going into advanced. However, that kind of didn't work out really well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch it up a little bit and I'm going to be doing more follow along episodes with a variety of tattoos, and they're not necessarily going to go in a beginner to advanced order. They're going to go ahead and come in the order that they come in. So for today, episode 9 is going to be this small rose. I will leave links for you in the description below so you can download this on your end, place it on your fake skin so we can tattoo it together. If you have any questions per usual about anything that you see or hear throughout this video, I'm going to encourage you, drop a comment down below. I will do my best to assist you in the best possible direction. With that being said, let's dive straight on into this. I'm gonna want to begin with applying the stencil to this piece of fake skin. This is going to be Reelskin, and I'm using Spirit stencil paper. For applying stencils to fake skin, I'm going to use Speed Stick. I do not use Speed Stick on human skin, so I don't recommend using Speed Stick on human skin. Speed Stick works flawlessly for fake skin, so that's what I use it for. Just to reiterate and confirm, I do not use Speed Stick on human skin. It's only for fake skin. Speed Stick is only for fake skin. So I put an adequate amount, as you can see right there. It's actually a generous amount. From here, I'm gonna get my napkin, and I've actually made a full in-depth video on how I apply stencils to fake skin. So if you're needing assistance on that, let me know. I will link you down below. I'll also leave the video floating somewhere in this video, should I remember to do so. So I'm removing excess Speed Stick right here, so that way I can get the stencil nice and clean on there without much bleed. I'm just going to apply it to the best of my ability, lining it up as best as I can. I'm going to grab the Scotch shop wipe and I'm going to apply pressure so that way we make sure we get a good detailed stick to our canvas site from the stencil. So that's the stencil that we're working with. It actually came out fairly decent. There's a little bit of blurring going on, but I don't think that it's going to interfere too much. So for this, I'm going to go ahead and dry this with my heat gun so we can continue. So here is my Wagner heat gun, and this is what I use to dry my stencils. I used to have to wait 24 hours for my stencils to dry. Now I only have to wait a few minutes. So the stencil was just put on, and I'm going to go ahead and just go back and forth for about 30 seconds to a minute with this heat gun, like so. And this right here expedites the process for the drying portion of the stencil process here. As you can see, the stencil is darkening up quite a bit. That means that it's drying. Just gonna go one more time over it here, like so. And that's all that it takes to dry these stencils. So from here, what I'm gonna do is I'm going to get some Vaseline, and I'm going to show you that the stencil is dry and it won't come off. It is a little bit warm, so be careful with that. And allow me to show you the results here. So as you can see, this stencil is not going anywhere. We just applied it. It hasn't even been on the fake skin more than 5 minutes, and we already got a good stick here. So that's how I go about applying my stencils at the beginning of this process here, or really any tattoo on fake skin. It's really fast, really efficient, really effective. I highly recommend checking out the heat gun so that way you can expedite your process. We have the tattoo placed down now, so we're ready to get into the tattooing aspect of this follow along. For this video, I'm going to be using the Ink Claw Neon Blade tattoo machine with the Ink Claw wireless power supply. I'm going to be using a Quelle, I believe this is going to be a bug pin 5-round liner right here as well. So that's what I'm going to be using for this demonstration. Now, you can go ahead and use a 3-round liner. You can use a standard 5-round liner. Whatever round liner you have on your end, all I would recommend is going with the smallest one that is available to you. If it's a 5, that's great. 7-round liner, that's great. Try to go with the smallest needle configuration, because that's how I'm going to approach it, with a small needle size. So I'm going to begin As I begin with any other tattoo, I'm going to begin from the bottom, working my way up, so that way I don't lose the stencil. I'm going to moisten the area that I'm going to be tattooing, and I'm going to go ahead and be on the way here. So for this, what I want to do is I want to start filling out this area right here and building up that way. So I'm going to begin right here, and I'm running at 6.5 volts for those who are curious. Paying attention to that needle depth, the consistency in which I am at. And I'm really gonna build up this tattoo here. I'm not going in full just lining. I'm actually being really delicate here. And I'm doing this really softly here, so that way I could deposit the pigment as accurate as possible here. I'm just being very calm and collected with it. Then I'm going to proceed working my way on up. So from here I'm going to go this way right here. I feel like this is a healthy spot to start from. Very cool. And then from here I'm going to repeat that over here as well. And if you notice, I'm only working with small amounts of ink at a time. I'm only withdrawing small amounts from my ink cap, as I don't want too much pulling. I want to be able to see my needle tip at all times. And we're going to keep repeating this process here. I'm going to actually move over onto this side right here and get this going. So I'm going to start from this area, and I'm going to whip out the detail that way. Just like that. And then we're going to go ahead and continue just working and building up on the tattoo here. You see how we have a little pull right there, and it makes it a little difficult to see where we're depositing the ink. When it comes to small dainty tattoos, I try to have that pulling avoided at all costs. Sometimes it happens though. If you're not comfortable with the pulling of the ink, I would recommend having a napkin balled up next to you, so that way you can just dab out a little bit of ink in case you have too much. So like, let's say if you needed to dab some out, here is a little ball of the ink here, or here's a little ball of napkin, here's your ink. You can just like so, and it takes out some of the ink there. That's a good little technique to keep a good healthy ink flow to be able to see your canvas site. And then I'm going to go ahead and work my way to the other side over here. All the way through here, like so. So what I'm doing is I'm just essentially building on this tattoo delicately and slowly here. I'm gonna go ahead and go around this way. Coming out really nice there. Continue over here to this side real quick. And then from this way, I'm going to actually come from this leaf over here. Like so. And then I'm going to go ahead and add the middle stem here. Then I'm going to lock in this last little leaf right here, and then I'll go ahead and add the details. Then I'm going to go this way around that way. And if I'm going too slow or too fast, feel free to pause, rewind, fast forward, whatever you need to do to go ahead and make the experience comfortable for you. So we have the whole bottom portion done. What I want to do now is add the details to the stems here. So I'm going to do that. I'm actually going to change them up a little bit though. So what I want to do is I want to add them Feel free to go ahead and add the originals if you'd like. But for me, I want to just kind of push my abilities here and really add some cool details. Like so. And then I'm going to kind of repeat that over here with these. Even right here, as you can see, there's a little bit of inconsistency with this last line. I don't even worry about it. I just kind of correct it and keep going. There's a little raindrop right there. I actually like the way that looks a lot. That looks really nice. So we have this whole bottom portion done. I'm going to go ahead and move on over to the top part of the rose. We'll get into shading here shortly as well. But for now, let's go ahead and get the tattoo laid down. So I'm going to proceed right here. And I'm just kind of working my way. You can see I'm being real delicate and as gentle as I can be, so that way I can get the best results with this small needle configuration here. I have to pull this line in an awkward position here. Now what I'm doing is every time I'm placing down my needle, I'm trying to be as consistent as I can, so I make sure I get comfortable and I know where I'm going to go. I have my plan ready. And right here I'm going to do half of that circle for now, just to remind me it's there. So what I'm doing is I'm just essentially building the tattoo to the best of my ability here. And then I'm going to go ahead and come over here. Bring it down this way. I'm always paying real close attention to my starting and ending points. I always have to have a plan when I tattoo. I have to know where I'm going to be going. If not, I feel like I'm kind of winging it, and I don't really like that feel or that style of tattooing. So right here in this area, I'm going to go ahead and just fill this in all black right here. Like so. So essentially what I'm doing is I'm just building up this rose and I'm outlining it here. Now you can approach it to the style that you like, but for this one I'm going to go ahead and kind of stick to the basics. I'm going to outline and I'm going to go ahead and shade it here. We will get into more realistic follow alongs where we do like portrait style tattoos and different style tattoos. So just be sure to stick around for that. So I'm simply tattooing the lines that I see here. Only have a couple of more lines to go here. And then I'm going to add the last details on that leaf right there so that we can get into the shading aspect of this. So there we go right there. Okay, so here we have the entire outline done right here. So now what I would like to get into is my logic and thought process behind the shading aspect. If you're not caught up yet, or if you're ahead of me, again, please feel free to pause, fast forward, do what you need to do so that way you can go ahead and keep a comfortable workflow on your end. When it comes to shading, it's super subjective. I really think it comes down to the artist and what they envision. But for me, I'm going to try to keep this to the most simple approach here, and I'm gonna go ahead and just add shading in subtle areas, not too much. So we're gonna go ahead and pretty much shade the tattoo though, the entire thing. So I'm gonna start with shading. I'm gonna put some shading on this side of the tattoo right here, and then we'll go ahead and get to the leaves. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to just kind of stipple right here. I'm just gonna add just a little bit subtle shading. I am using dynamic black tattooing ink, so as you can see right there we have some subtle shading going on, and I'm brushing the fake skin with the very tip of my needle here, and I'm going to put a darker shade on the right side of the stem down here, all the way down. I'm just taking my time applying it. I want this area to be a bit darker. I actually like the way that this looks, and then if you wanted, you can go ahead and hit the other side with white to go and emphasize a highlight there. So I'm gonna add some subtle shading on the stem like so, and I'm gonna go ahead and move on to the leaves. For leaves, it can really be, you can shade multiple ways. I do really feel this is an artist approach, to each their own, but for me, I'm going to pick one side that I want to shade and I'm going to stick to that. So since we have the right side darker over here, I'm going to stick to the same thing. I'm going to have the right sides darker on the leaves. I don't want to move too fast, because if not, I'm not going to get that nice dot stipple effect, because my voltage is lower. So my hand, if I move fast, the technique, the look is going to be off. And then from here, I'm going to start the shading from this top area up here. And then I'm going to work my way down, but I'm going to leave a line right here of the natural leaf space to just create a little bit of depth there. And again, keep in mind, I'm just brushing with the very tips of my needle. It's not anything that I'm applying like lining, or I'm not pressing down hard. Again, I'm just using the very tips of my needles just to confirm. Then I'm going to repeat that process with these two over here. And you can hear too, it's just the very tip of the needle. You can hear that brush sound as opposed to a lining sound. You can use motions this way should you choose to do so. That's perfectly fine. I think it's going to be artist's choice, to each their own. And then I'm going to repeat that with this side over here. I'm going to leave this right here of regular skin tone color. I'll get into the droplets here in a bit. And then I'm going to do this one more time for this last leaf right here, keeping the same sides going. So I'm going to shade this one right here, going up. Then I'm going to go ahead and add shading to this one right here. And I'm following the form of what I'm shading as best I can, so that way we have a natural shaded look there. Okay, so that's how I'm going to go about that. You can go ahead and finalize whatever you need to finalize on your end. That looks great. And add one more hit right here to this area. Just want a little bit more darker. Like so. So that's coming out great. I'm going to go ahead and proceed to the rose right here. So moving on here to the rose portion of the tattoo. Now, if you're not comfortable with doing droplets, by all means, you don't have to do them. You can go ahead and just do the petals, to each their own. I'm going to go ahead and give it a go for this demonstration here. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to shade following the form, and then I'm going to add a little bit of shading under the droplet right here, just to resemble a water shaped form sitting on the leaf there. And then from here, what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm just simply going to shade the petals the way I think that they would be shaded. So I'm going to start from this area and I'm going to shade outwards. So from here, I'm going to go ahead and shade like so. I'm gonna add one more layer over here. Now this is going to be fully subjective where you want to place the shading. So if you feel like placing your shading somewhere differently, by all means, feel free to do so. I encourage you to make your own artistic choices along the way. I'm going to go ahead and move on over here to this petal. I'm going to shade it this way like so. Like so. Some areas you can put darker. If you want some areas darker, again, by all means, please feel free to make your own artistic choices. And I'm going to continue. We'll get that leaf here shortly as well. And all I'm doing is I'm simply brushing the shading onto the areas that I need. So you can see I'm delicately building up the shading here. Like so. And I feel shading could really make or break a tattoo. I'm gonna shade this area. I'm gonna put the darker part of the leaf, and I'm gonna probably make this leaf more darker than usual here, since it's sitting under the petals here. And again, this is just artistic approach. If you have another way to go about it and for another reason, by all means. Or feel free to follow along exactly, so you can go ahead and develop rapport, thought process. That looks nice. So moving on to the next part here. And as you see, I'm just kind of still working my way up portion by portion. And this area right here, I kind of want this area to be really dark. So I'm going to do some cross hatching here as well. I'm going to up my voltage here to 8 volts. I'll leave it at 7.5 since I am used to stippling at higher speeds. I'm still just going to be using the very tips of my needle, so I'm not worried about extra trauma as I'm not diving or driving this needle into the skin. But I do get a cleaner look with a higher voltage when it comes to stippling. think about 1 or 2 more passes and we're gonna be good here. I like the way that looks. And notice how I still left a little negative rim of some skin tone showing through right there. And in this area I kind of want it to be really, really dark. Majority of it right here. So for this petal, I'm going outwards this way here. Just a tad little bit. Like so. Then you can continue that all the way around here should you choose to do so. Coming around the edge over here. And notice how I'm even mindful of where I'm starting and ending even with the shading. So that's something that you're going to want to be mindful of as well. Where you're starting and where you're ending when it comes to shading. Added this little curve right there. And right here I definitely want some negative space around to act as little highlights. And then from here, you can choose to put the shading on this side should you choose to do so, or you can keep it right here. That's fully artist choice. Cross hatching there. So notice how when I'm shading, I'm not going all the way up. I'm being very, very meticulous. Just like so. And then for this area right here, I'm gonna repeat that process. I'm gonna throw some shading here, and I'm also following the curve of the design here. Not bad at all. I'm gonna go ahead and do a little cross hatching right here in this sort of direction, as I want to kind of smooth things out there. And we're almost done here. I'm going to go ahead and just finish the shading on these petals right there. I'm actually going to add a little bit more shading on this bottom petal right here, but we're going to go ahead and get there here shortly. So on this petal I'm going to shade coming outwards like this, like so. On this little area, I'm just going to do a little bit of subtle shading here. And come in this direction, like this. And then I'm going to finish those other two petals in the rose right here. So for right here, I'm just going to be delicate, making sure that I don't lose the skin tone up top right here in this area. Like so. Just smoothing things out right there. And then I'm going to go ahead and fill that last petal here, and then we can make any last minute changes that we need if we need to. And as you see, I'm just going to do small upward strokes or outward strokes like this. And then any last changes that you want to do, by all means go ahead. If you want to add darker areas anywhere, by all means I recommend doing that. All in all though, this is pretty much the end of the road for this tattoo right here. We can go ahead and start cleaning it up to give us a top view, see the results here. But before we do that, I'm actually just going to add a little bit of shading just to this area right here, just a little bit. There we go. That's where I'm going to add that shading right there. Allow me to clean this off so we can come back to a top view and see the results. Here is a top view of the flower that we've just done. And in my opinion, this came out really clean. It looks really nice. This is the flower up close here. And this is the way that it reads. Now I do hope that you're still with me, and I hope that you can learn something from this video. Take what you want, leave what you don't. If I didn't touch base on anything specific that you may have wanted to know at any point throughout this video, I'm going to encourage you to drop a comment down below, and I'm going to do my absolute best to assist you in the best possible direction. I also have social medias all under the same name as this YouTube account. I have Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. I would truly appreciate the support on there as well. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button for me and ring that bell, as we will be bringing more videos like this for you all. Thank you for tuning in yet again. You have a great day.